I would like us to jump right into it. And first of all, just start with, what do you feel is the real issue behind this? Because there has been this controversy of whether it's going to be manual voter registration, whether it's going to be the biometric system. When you look at everything, what seems to be the core issue at hand here?
Yeah, thank you very much. A number of issues, really. I think the most important here is the integrity of the entire electoral process. As we continue with the preparations here, we have to remember what happened in 2007, because the events of, following the election in 2007 were triggered mainly because of the fact that people did not have much faith in the Electoral Commission then. So the integrity question is very key here. When the procurement process was botched, that is really what came up, that the integrity of the electoral process could be compromised, and no one knows then what will happen as a result of that if Kenyans fail to have faith in the processes before the election, if Kenyans fail to have faith in the results of the election itself. So that really is the key issue of concern here. And the procurement process, the cancellation of that procurement deal, the fact that there seem to be actions going on within the commission that don't seem to really give Kenyans the confidence that the process is going to end well. All these issues have cast a lot of doubt on the election. So that really is the main issue.
Morris, now, what's the way forward do you see? Because again, just like you said, the issue of integrity brings back, I mean, at the end of the day, what could happen, and I think this is what you're alluding to, if this is not seen as a credible process, who's to say when a winner is announced that people will feel, well, that was free and fair? So what do you think is something that Kenya needs to do right now to ensure that this process is deemed to be credible?
There are a number of issues really which have been pointed out. I think when the cabinet had the meeting with the Electoral Commission, the issue that has been emphasized is that they must reconsider the decision to do a manual voter registration because of what happened in 2007, because the fear is that we may go back to the kind of situation that we had after that election. They have, quite a lot of the politicians here have insisted that we need to reconsider that decision. And therefore, a number of options have been proposed. One of them being to do a restricted tender. Looking at the Procurement Act, the experts here are basically saying there's a way that a restricted tender can be done so that then the process is shortened and it will not have to take a lot of time to conclude the process. The second option that is being considered here is that equipment that have been used in other countries, the example being given now is Tanzania, that some sort of sovereign deal could be entered between the two governments so that we borrow, the Commission borrows that equipment. Ghana has also been mentioned in the same dimension. So that is the second option. The third option really is what came from the visit by the American Secretary of State. And the core issue then was there is a way in which some of the companies that they have dealt with, a specific company being mentioned in Canada, for instance, could be brought in, and that probably then would work with the approach of using restricted tendering process. So those are the key options that have been put on the table. However, the fear within other quarters, for example, the civil society and other political groupings, is that when you have cabinet sort of directing an independent commission like the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, then you already have a problem. When you have say the Secretary of State, for example, sharing her opinion on this, then already that is adding to the confusion that we have already seen. It is seen perhaps as also interfering with an independent commission. So yes, the options are there. The options are there, but there are also questions that are being raised about those options.
Morris, I want to ask you, I mean, we're not very far from when it's going to be election time. Do you think that there is enough time for all of this to be ironed out, and once this whole process is unfolded, be able to get that confidence back that you were talking about, and that by the end of this election we don't see what happened in 2007, 2008?
Yeah, big questions, really. There are certain processes that have to happen. You know, there's a whole process of civic education that has to take place. The Commission has been considering a period of about 2 months to do that. The registration process itself must happen at least some 90 days before the election date. A whole lot of other processes included within that. For example, the register of voters then has to be scrutinized by citizens, and the law gives the Commission a time, you know, the mandate to set a time frame for that. So there are a number of processes that need to be undertaken before the election. Now, do we have sufficient time then to go back to the tender process? If we were to go back to the same process that we have been through, then obviously the answer there will be no, because then we shall be looking at anything between, you know, 3 months and 5 months and so on, which will not leave much time for the registration process itself to take place. Remember also that under the procurement law, there are processes of appeal in the event that some of those who shall have tendered feel uncomfortable and are not satisfied with the process. So when, again, you factor in the period for appeal, then you find that the time really is fairly short.
Morris,
so we are really, yes.
Morris, I want to ask you, have there been organizations outside of Kenya and other nations, for instance, that have approached Kenya and said, this is how we can help with this process?
For right now, what the Commission has been doing is to assure Kenyans that, in fact, the first thing they did when the sort of scandal broke out was to assure Kenyans that that process of procurement would close. And I remember the Commission chair emphasizing it will be done in accordance with the law, and it will close, and it will give us the final product that we require. Of course, in retrospect, that was you know, sort of like wishful thinking. The process obviously then did not mature to the point of giving the required result. So now what the Commission is doing is, you know, you get a sense that they're trying to engage with the public. As civil society, we have a policy dialogue platform with the Commission, and they were able to call that on Friday, and there was a meeting where some of these issues were explained, and through that avenue they have been trying also to explain to the public a bit of press media briefings here and there. But on the whole, if you look at, for instance, a lot of the discussions going on in blogs and websites and so on, you find that there's a lot of questioning of the credibility of the Commission. So yes, the Commission has to do a lot more to really ensure that you know, its credibility is restored. I think what we are seeing now is not so much engagement. I think they have to do a lot more. But at the end of the day, what really will, you know, will boost the credibility of the Commission is if they embark on an option that will actually give the country what they promised, which is the biometric voter registration system. But they also need to correct some of the impressions being made out here. There is a good number of people who are beginning to think that they are going to vote electronically, which is not the issue. So there's, to a certain extent, perhaps the flow of communication from the Commission is not as good as it should be. I think there are certain falsehoods and misperceptions that they have to correct. I don't think they're doing a very good job of it. But from our
Morris,
discussion on Friday, we think that, you know, they can be able to do a better job.
Morris, thank you so much for joining us. That was Morris Odhiambo, President of the National Civil Society Congress, talking risk and electoral processes in Kenya ahead of that country's elections.